to NASCAR Joe YouTube channel.
And now, Rockingham Speedway. It's time for the most famous words in motorsports, but you are going to help me rock the rock by giving the command. So, on my count back from 3, let's do it together. 3, 2, 1. Drivers, start your engine!
Engines roaring to life down here on the front straightaway. 125 laps of action yet to come. And before we roll from the grid, we're going to send it down trackside to our pit reporter for the day, Jacqueline Drake. Jacqueline, what you got for us?
Yeah, Charlie, you talked a lot about the viral moment that happened last weekend with Max Reeves at Hickory. We were able to talk to him for just a few moments, and I quite frankly asked him, you've had a week to think on it, look back at the tapes, has your stance changed at all? And he said, nope, not at all. Doubled down and starting that second place position today. He certainly will be one to watch out for and has continued to be strong right here in ARCA East.
Justin, how long does it take for those grudges to go away behind the wheel?
I don't know that they ever go away. They just grow with you. You know, I think, you know, that. Look, I've watched the video back a bunch of times. You know, a lot of folks asked me about that actually this week, right? You talking about it, and I think that it's a very unique situation, right? The sport of auto racing has changed a little bit in how you race, right? So what is acceptable today may not have been acceptable 5 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever it is. I understand the sentiment of why he's upset. But as a race fan, it was some really good, hard racing at the end of the race. So I don't know. I struggle with it, but at the end of the day, that just fires me up for this afternoon because now these guys get to go at it again and hopefully bring some fireworks like they did last week.
As a broadcaster, it was a lot of fun too. I got to tell you that.
I can imagine.
Let's take a look at the starting lineup for today's ARCA East Rockingham 125. There's a good look at the front row. Tristan McKee alongside his nemesis from Hickory, Max Reeves, up on the front row. Keep an eye on those drivers back there in row 2, though. Carson Brown went to victory lane in the ARCA Menards West combo race at Phoenix. He will start third alongside Gavin Bichelle. Connor Hall and Isaac Kitzmiller back there in row 3.
Yeah, Garrett Mitchell inside of row number 4 with Wesley Slim to his outside. Quinn Davis, Corey Roper in row number 5.
George Siciliano, Squirrel McNutt for the Cleetus McFarland fans out there alongside Jackson McLaren there in row 6. Destiny Spurlock alongside Austin Vaughn there in row 7.
JC Harris inside of row 8 with Brian Weber to his outside. Craig Pellegrini Jr. and Dustin Hillenberg in row number 9. Mike Basham and Nate Moeller in row number 10. And Michael Maples and Tony Blanton rounding out the field in row number 11.
22 cars set to come to the green. Everybody has rolled from the grid here. We'll have a couple of preliminary laps before we get set to go racing. A very good crowd on hand early in the day here, and I will expect a full grandstand when it's time to go racing for you guys here later on this afternoon.
Yeah, we're really hopeful of that. You know, this racetrack, bringing back the Rock, right, and this whole initiative to get the fans back here, they do such a great job. We were coming in here just not long ago, and the line to get in this place is long. It is an early start to this race. I mean, you know, normally you're kind of looking in the afternoon. So I keep saying afternoon. It is still morning. So, you know, a lot of these folks are still funneling in. I think a lot of folks are still down in the Midway area. So, you know, really, really cool to see all these folks get out here and to watch a great race. I mean, I got to announce him, Garrett Mitchell. I mean, yeah. You know, it's Cleetus McFarland, however you want to call him. They actually had both yesterday. I think it was Cleetus Mitchell yesterday on the timing sheet. Yes. But, you know, a lot of folks here, really, really big fans of his. Squirrel, my spotter, Eddie DeHaan, is actually up on top spotting for him as well. So, you know, a lot of really cool stuff. And you're merging a lot of different worlds together for what's going to be hopefully an action-packed race today.
Let's take a look at today's keys to victory here at Rockingham Speedway. And I may ask you to put one on here as well. Racing the Rock, you're going to have to race the racetrack here today. This is a tough old place. You're going to have to avoid those boulders jumping out to get you, right? And then you're going to have to beat PRG and Gibbs.
Well, I think that's the most important one of the day right there. Those two race teams have done a fantastic job of building race cars, and and assembling race teams. You know, they have great employees, they have great crew chiefs all the way through, and obviously great drivers. One more I'm going to add. We see the rubber that's laid down on this racetrack, and it's pretty wide. Yesterday when we started our Riley Series practice, even after the trucks had been on the racetrack, super narrow. Didn't move around a lot. As that rubber gets laid down, you're chasing the lighter gray areas of the racetrack because that rubber, as counterintuitive as it is really, really slippery once the tires get hot. So you're going to be chasing the surface around all day today. So we saw it yesterday in the truck series. It's going to be very, very important today. Don't lose track position, because if you get out of the rubber or you get out of the groove and you start to slide back, track position's going to be hard to get back.
Let's take a look at the race analysis here today for the ARCA Rockingham 125 as the teams make a trip down pit road. We're going to 125 laps. That's 117.5 miles. We'll have a 5-minute break at or around halfway, lap 63. If we have a caution, a lap or two before that, we may go to break a little before. If we have a natural caution a few laps before that, we may extend that a little bit, but that'll give teams an opportunity to change tires, make some adjustments, add fuel. Yesterday in that Craftsman Truck Series race, we saw some teams early in the race gamble on 2 tires. I don't think we're going to see anybody gambling on tires here today.
No, I think the tires, because of the way that the pit stops work here in the ARCA Series, you're not going to want to make that 2-tire stop, right? The general rubber is great, and it will last probably a lot longer than what 2 tires would be perfect for that scenario. But at the same time, once they get hot, they get greasy, and they get slick, no matter what you do, no matter how great of a race car driver you are, I just don't think that's a great plan. So you're going to see these guys in the ARCA Menards series. They're going to come down, they're going to put their 4 tires on, and they're going to be ready to go for that second half. But tire conservation will still matter. Even though you're changing 4 tires, you know, we saw it last week. Being fast in the last 10, 15, 20 laps is going to be the most important piece. And these guys, some of them have a lot of experience, some of them have very, very little experience. So I think that's going to give the advantage to the guys that really understand how to save tires.
It's hard to be patient and realize you got to be there 65 laps from now, but we're going to see who is able to do that here today. Lights off on the pace truck. Denise Engel in the flag stand, giving the field the 1 to go signal. So we'll take a look again up at the front of the field. Tristan McKee alongside Max Reeves on the front row. Carson Brown, Gavin Bichelle back there in row 2. Connor Hawley, 2-time NASCAR Local Series national champion, alongside the reigning ARCA Menards East champion Isaac Kitzmiller there in row 3. Cleetus McFarland alongside Wesley Slimp in row 4, and Quinn Davis, our Bonnie Rookie Spotlight driver, alongside Corey Roper. The top 10 starters. Field now midway down the backstretch. We will come to green this time around. Everybody buckling in and getting those belts nice and tight. This is a tough place. And the G-forces here want to throw you out the right side of that race car each and every time you come into these corners. So these drivers need to be nice and snug in those race cars. Field coming through turns 3 and 4 at a very slow pace, but we will get that pace car down onto pit road and get racing for 125 laps of action here live on Flow Racing. And appreciate everybody joining us today on the NASCAR channel as well. Should be a good one. Steve Binghoff bringing the pace truck down onto pit road. Field now under the command of our pole sitter, Tristan McKee, in the 77, coming to the restart zone, and there it is, folks. It is time to rock, roll, and rumble here at Rockingham.
This racetrack is extremely fast, and these guys, some of these guys have never really been at these speeds that we're seeing around the rock. So it's really important for them to get comfortable. As you mentioned, get those seatbelts tight before you take the green and get comfortable, get settled in here, and hopefully have a little bit of fun.
And we're going to see a big disparity between the front of the field and the back of the field as far as speeds are concerned. And right now, the car with the most speed on that initial launch, Tristan McKee, has jumped out to the lead, and he has brought his PRG teammate Carson Brown with him. And it looked like Max Reeves in that 18 car may have missed a shift coming up through the gears there. That 18 car did not get going on that initial start.
And tire spin here isn't a huge thing. So to your point, I think it was probably in between gears or something along those lines, because typically at a racetrack like this, you get rolling pretty fast, and especially on better tires, it's not that big of a deal. But these guys are getting settled out. We've already seen a few lines. We saw Cleetus jump out there and make a pass on the outside of Isaac Kitzmiller. That's an early pass on the outside. So, you know, hopefully as this racetrack widens out, these guys will get more comfortable, and we'll start seeing that side-by-side action. But, you know, it's pretty impressive right now what Tristan McKee's doing out front, and being able to stretch that distance a little bit. It's gonna be if he can keep that pace all day.
He added 0.4 of a second to his advantage that lap alone. Now nearly a second over his teammate Carson Brown there in second. There's Carson on screen with Max Reeves in the 18 car directly behind. They've got Connor Hall in that 24 car, the Sigma Performance Services Chevrolet. Connor made his Truck Series debut here yesterday. A lot of good speed in his truck, and he's trying to capitalize and have another good finish. He had a really good run going last Saturday at Hickory until transmission issues in that 24 car sent him down pit road. And look at this, here comes Max Reeves. Looks like he is trying to set up Carson Brown for a pass. Battle on for second in turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, traffic, the lap traffic is going to be a big factor all day today. And I think that, looking at those two, I think, both of them have a ton of experience, short track racing. Managing traffic here is going to be kind of the key to the day, I think. These guys are really good at what they do. But when somebody's in that line you want to run, if your car doesn't handle just right, it's really easy to get up and out of the way. So, we're going to see these guys battle it out. But, we're only 5 laps into this race, and we're already seeing some of these cars slip and slide around. So it's going to be tough to manage that for 60-plus laps.
When you are dealing with some of those slower cars, the predictability is really what you're looking for. You want that car that you're coming up on 40 miles an hour faster to be in the same line each and every time you catch up to them, don't you?
We talk about it a lot, and if there's at the rookie meetings, and especially if you can give advice, like a lot of the veteran drivers will give advice to some of these guys and just say, hey, pick a lane, stick to it. If it's not your day, just find a lane that works for you. That being said, when the inverse happens and it is your day, you want to know that the guy that you're racing against is going to do the same and give you the same courtesy. So if your car's not handling well, though, and you're in one of those situations, it's not always easy to pick that, that bottom lane or that top lane and just kind of stick to it. So you really have to be on your A game and looking out both windows at the same time, which if you've ever tried to do that, it's really hard to make happen.
Here comes Max Reeves again trying to sneak up on the back bumper of Carson Brown. They caught Craig Pellegrini right there. And look at this action off of turn 2. 18 car getting a little loosey-goosey there off of turn 2.
We've seen that a couple of times, and I don't know if he got it right there, but if he didn't, he got super lucky. But we've seen that a couple of times with Max where the back of the car just wants to step around, and he's doing everything he can from behind the wheel to hold on to it. But the more that happens, the hotter that right rear tire gets, the longer of a day it's going to be for Max. And I know, obviously ultra talented, got a lot of speed, but there's nothing you can do once those tires get really, really hot.
There's Tristan McKee looking at the inside of Brian Weber, and look at this. His teammate Carson Brown has reeled him in as they were working through some of that traffic right there. I don't think Tristan expected to have to go to the bottom side of that 13 car. He got up off the throttle a little bit, and that allowed Carson to close that gap tremendously.
Yeah, this lap traffic has really kind of tightened up the field in his top 5 or so, and these guys are all just trying to manage it the best they can. It's early in the race. There's a lot of give and take. But I can promise you, if Carson Brown can get up there and battle his teammate Tristan McKee and be able to get himself into the lead, he's going to do everything he can to make that happen. So, you just want to manage it the best that you possibly can. And I know that these guys are really focused in on that low line. That's obviously the preferred line around the rock here. But when you have to make those maneuvers, you got to do it quick. You got to get around those guys and be able to get yourself, get that lead back out. He's back up to almost a second. So obviously Tristan's got an incredibly good race car today. So he's going to be trying to think about that all day long.
We've kept our eye on that number 77 car. It has not really slipped a wheel yet so far here in the early going. There's a good look at Cleetus McFarland, Garrett Mitchell in the number 30 Kinetics Ford. A couple of top 10 finishes in his ARCA Menards series appearances in 2025. Started off the season, ran up front most of the day before kind of fading back to 11th at Daytona. But he has got a big day here today. He's going to run this race today. He's going to run the race later on today. What's 375 laps in the race car going to do for him today?
Well, he's awful tall, so hopefully hopefully he's drank plenty of water because he's going to definitely need it. He's done a great job, and yesterday in practice he did a phenomenal job of kind of settling in. I think he was 24th or so in practice yesterday for the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. Really cool to watch that. Now, the downside of that is he went out to qualify and he said, I just didn't step on the gas. I had chicken foot. That was fun to listen to, but at the same time, I don't envy that position. I remember my early on days in my career. Those are the moments that you go, man, I wish I could have those back. But running double duty today, we've already seen it. The start of the race, he was making moves. I was able to get him up here into the 6th position. I think the differences between the cars, it's hard to switch back and forth. So, hopefully he's having a lot of fun right now, and he's learning. He's learning as he goes, and all these guys. That's the biggest piece of the ARCA Menards series is learn as much as you can. Get that valuable experience. And when we talked about it last week with that battle for the lead, those are awesome races that they're fun to watch as fans, but as a driver, you're learning every lap, and these guys are all having a good time doing that. They like it a lot more, though, when they're learning in victory lane. That's the best part of it.
That is the best part of those lessons. And I'll tell you what, here's 3 guys on screen that are learning a lot each and every lap right here. Carson Brown, Max Reeves, and Gavin Bichelle tagging onto the back of that line. Gavin in the number 25 for Nitro Motorsports. That car a little tail happy off of turn 2 right there. What is this sun baking down on this racetrack doing for track conditions right now?
Yeah, so the hotter this place gets, the slicker it gets. And, you know, we've seen with the repave here, we saw a repave a couple of years ago, but it's not really had a lot of racing on it. So anytime we get a new repave, the track is really, really smooth. Just picture like a freshly polished floor, right? Well, it's really easy to slide around on that once the tires get hot. And so, you know, these guys are battling that, but the hotter it gets, the more the oils come up out of the surface, the more the oils from the tires come out, and it gets even greasier and greasier. And, you know, I guess if you put a baking pan out there and you put a little butter in it, it's kind of like sliding around in there. So, you know, these guys are experiencing that. Not only that, their bodies. Inside of these race cars, it's probably, you know, north of 100, 115 degrees right now. That's not easy to deal with. And if you don't have all the latest and greatest cooling equipment, which some of these guys probably don't, you're definitely feeling it. So these guys are having fun, but it's a hot one. It's definitely slick and trying to manage traffic too. So you got it all kind of going against you.
Max Reeves trying to get up there and battle with Carson Brown. It looks like he had a little issue managing traffic right there. Looked like he wanted to make a move, but caught that lap car at just the wrong time, and now he's going to kind of fall back into the clutches of Gavin Bichelle there in the 25.
We talked about patience earlier in managing those tires, and Max seems to be the guy, he really wants that track position. He's trying to move himself forward. Obviously, he's got a super fast race car. If I'm his spotter, I'm his crew chief, I'm probably telling him, hey, we got a long ways to go. Cool down just a little bit, let those tires cool down, try to make that move when it's, you know, more of a guarantee. I would say 70%, if you're calculating in your mind, 70% is the number you need it to be to make that move, especially this early in the race. Once you get down to the end of the race, those 25% moves, you know, of completion are they're a little more enticing. But early on, you got to just calm yourself and figure out how you can get settled in line and save those tires and obviously save those fenders, because we saw him almost get in the wall earlier. You know, you damage the race car this early in the race, it's really hard to overcome that.
And up on the roof, you've got to have a spotter who's kind of reminding you, hey, we've got a guaranteed caution flag coming up at lap 63. We're going to have plenty of time to make adjustments if it's not just perfect. And I don't think Max's car is just perfect right now. It looks like it might be a little loose based on what we're seeing here in the early going. And there's a tough break right there, Justin, for our Bounty Rookie Spotlight driver, Quinn Davis, pulling down on the pit road. No reports on what may be wrong with that car here in the early going, but a very tough break to have issues this early in the going.
Yeah, hopefully it gets to his pit crew there and they're able to get some adjustments made or fix the problem that he's got going. And, you know, we talked about the car being hot, right? When you're dealing with traffic and you're dealing with all this stuff, it's easy to get your head hot too, right? So when you're out there and you're battling around, you don't want to get yourself overworked. And so that spotter and that crew chief are really important. And we see these guys, you know, right now, Tristan is doing a great job of managing traffic, but it's keeping Carson Brown right to his bumper. Both of those guys are being told what's going on, where the traffic is at, what the cars behind you are doing, and they're making those decisions in a split second. They're both doing a great job of managing this traffic, but all it's going to take, again, is one slip. We talked about that guaranteed caution, right? You want to get to the caution. You don't want to be the caution. And I think that that's the most important piece of this when you are battling with traffic like we are. Don't make it harder on yourself than you have to.
And we saw some battling with traffic right there. I thought we were going to see a caution as Connor Hall and the number 25 there of Gavin Bichelle kind of weaving through some lap traffic stacked up too wide directly ahead of them, but they both threaded the needle nicely there and avoided trouble. And looks like Garrett Mitchell, old Cleetus McFarland in that 30 car, able to follow through as well. Cleetus doing a nice job hanging on to that 6th position. He's about 3 seconds off of the lead right now. And we've seen, as they've caught traffic, looks like Tristan McKee, since he's able to build up about a second advantage, he's able to kind of take his time and patiently work through some of this traffic, whereas the guys behind him do have to make those moves.
Yeah, Tristan is in the pipeline. You know, he's got a lot of great folks that are helping him out. And one of the things that I've noticed with him is he's very calculated, right? He's able to make those moves that really, you know, he's able to think about it a lot more than maybe some of these guys are able to as well. And man, this right here, this replay, it gets really, really tight. And there's really not a lot of space for that 66 to get any higher. You can see the top of the black where it's at there. he's not really able to get any higher without putting himself at risk. But, the 24 car there of Connor Hall, he's obviously ready to go. He's wanting to get through the middle, and he's wanting to stay with those cars that are in front of him. So I actually think that's what kept Cleetus McFarland. That's what, extended that gap for him, because he was right there behind Connor Hall, just kind of hanging out. And unfortunately, when those all happened, he checked up because he thought they were going to crash and lost a bunch of time because of it.
That move by Connor Hall right there, a pretty good early race candidate for our Reese's Sweet Move of the race here today. You can log on to arcaracing.com Monday, 3 o'clock Eastern time. See who we decide is today's Reese's Sweet Move of the race winner. This could be a sweet move right there too. Look at Gavin Michelle to the inside of Max Reeves. Gavin Michelle going to take over that third position. That 25 car was lightning quick in practice earlier today, and I think Gavin, still just a teenager, the more laps he gets, the more confident he looks behind the wheel.
Yeah, I mean, that team, obviously everybody at Nitro's done a really good job. And Gavin's been around. I remember Gavin's first race. Cutest little kid, right? He comes to the racetrack. I think he was 4 maybe at the time, and we were out at the Millbird Speedway, and he looked the part for sure, and was out there racing at an early age. And I feel like I've been able to watch him and see his career kind of keep going. It's been pretty cool to see what kind of success they've had. So obviously got a battle here again. We talked about that right rear tire heating up earlier on Max Reeves' car. I think it's starting to show, right? He's starting to slip back a little bit. Some of these guys are able to get to his inside, and that's a tough situation to be in, because you're kind of bleeding at this point. You don't really know how to make it any better. You're just trying to hang on, and unfortunately, it makes it really, really tough.
I think we may have a little look at the left front corner of this car right here. Look at this close call right there.
Oh.
Got up against Toby Blanton in the 00 car, and I think he may have knocked in that left front fender. How big is that going to be as we get towards the middle stages of this one?
Well, as long as there's no damage to the tire, that's probably the biggest thing, right? We don't want to see damage to the tire. The fenders on these cars are pretty resilient, but we just saw a big slide out of Max there. It looks like he's just absolutely hanging on to this race car. We got some smoke out of it.
I think
it looks
he
like
may
a
have
flat tire.
Yeah, flat tire. Don't know if that'll be the... Looks like it may be the left rear tire, as a matter of fact. So Max Reeves with a flat. He will have to come down to Matt Ross and the crew, and this could be a backbreaker for him as he looks for his first win of the season. Came into today second in the ARCA East standings after that second place finish, but boy, they're going to have to, you talk about working on keeping it cool, they're going to have to work on cooling him down inside of that race car mentally, don't you think?
This is such a tough situation, right? You know how long it takes to get down pit road. You know how long it takes to change these tires. And you kind of know that it's the end of your day, right? But as a driver, these are the days that make championships, right? These are the days where you got to get back out there. You have to put your best effort in, because you never know when your competitor could have the same issue and not be able to finish this race. So just finishing the race can make all the difference in the world. So, obviously not what this team wants, but, they'll get him back out there and get him started, and hopefully he can have a good solid day at it.
Tristan McKee continuing to stretch out that lead, now 1.5 seconds over his teammate Carson Brown in second. Gavin Michelle, Connor Hall, and Cleetus McFarland rounding out the top 5 here as we reach the 35 lap complete mark, make it 36 laps that time around. And right now, McKee, you're not battling anybody on the racetrack. You're just going out there trying to hit your marks and avoid those lap cars. How hard is it to stay focused on what you're here to do when you're building out that advantage like that?
Obviously, he's got a great driving race car, right? He's doing a fantastic job behind the wheel, and he's got great people around him, I'm sure, to keep him calm. When your car is that good, you're just focused on don't miss my marks, right? Even though you're battling lap traffic and all those things, we talked about it earlier. He's able to be patient. That gap kind of accordions a little bit, but every time he gets some clean air, he's able to drive back away from the field. As a driver, that is a great feeling, because you know that your car is doing everything you're asking it to do, and you're able to drive away from the other cars around you. So they'll get to the halfway break. That becomes the challenge. Do you make an adjustment, or do you leave it alone? Because you know that the guys in second on back, they're going to make adjustments to make their race cars better and put themselves in a position to be able to battle with you. So they just have to make sure that they don't get behind. You want to stay in front of it, and I think that's going to be the most important piece. So we're able to see right here, Carson did a great job early, but this lap traffic has been a little bit of a struggle. And so you got guys like Gavin Bushell and guys like Connor Hall that are able to get back up there and be able to battle with those guys.
There is Max Reeves back on the racetrack. Unfortunately, he has lost 3 laps to the leaders. So Max Reeves in that 18 car, he's got a lot of laps left. I don't know that we have enough time for him to work his way back on the lead lap, at least without the benefit of some caution flags here throughout the course of the day, but that 18 car obviously still very fast.
Still super fast, and unfortunately for him, we haven't seen any cautions yet at this point. So the likelihood of multiple cautions to get him back on the lead lap would be really, really difficult. But at the same time for him, again, he's going to have to go out there. We know he's got a fast race car. Don't make the second mistake. The first mistake is usually followed by a second one. Don't make the second one. And I know that team will be disappointed with the finish this afternoon, but it wasn't for lack of effort, and obviously not for lack of a fast race car. So I hate it for those guys, but hopefully they can at least we've got a battle for second place right here. Gavin does a great job.
Oh, look at that, stacking them four wide. That's a nerve-wracking move right there. Carson Brown fighting to the outside, and look at that. He's going to suck around, almost suck around the 25 car right there. How big is taking that air off of that spoiler right there?
That was closer than I'd like to see it, but it is extremely important. The right sides of these race cars is really what dictates how much grip the car has. So when you're able to take the air away from the right side of a race car, it really sucks that bottom car around. And while you may not be in the preferred groove on the outside, that guy on the bottom is just hanging onto his race car. Now, you put yourself in a position like right there where, it was going to be very easy for, Gavin to kind of slide up into the side of Carson. We'll see it right here on this replay. So, obviously 4 wide, not the ideal situation, but we see that Carson is able to get right to his right rear quarter panel here, have forward momentum, and as he turns in, you see the left sides there almost get the apron. Gavin slides up the hill. That could have been catastrophic for both of them. So luckily those two drivers did a great job there. Both have a lot of dirt experience. I'm going to go with the dirt experience definitely paid dividends right there.
That is another great candidate for the Reese's Sweet move of the race right there. Not just a 4-wide pass with lap traffic, but that immense save right there by Gavin Michelle. Definitely a Reese's Sweet move candidate. Don't forget, you can log on to arcaracing.com Monday, 3 o'clock Eastern time to see who is named today's Reese's Sweet move of the race winner. Jacqueline, what you got on Max Reeves back there?
Well, guys, we talked a lot about the 18 today and just the issue there with the flat tire. I was able to check in with his crew chief, Matt Ross, and he said he feels very good about the balance on the car. Obviously frustrated that they lost laps there in that pit stop.
And we have problems on the racetrack, and a great run gone awry there for Gavin Michelle in the number 25. Looks like he's made some pretty significant contact with the outside wall. And I'll tell you what, after 45 laps of consecutive green flag running, maybe overheated that right front tire, maybe?
That, or I'm really curious, we saw him and Carson Brown just make the slightest bit of contact. And I said earlier, the body wasn't my concern, it was the tire. And if there was one little piece of something sticking out, or maybe, someone was able to hit that valve stem on the wheel, we don't really know at this point. Well, it's hard to know the aftermath, but it sure looks like the front tire is down, and it's a hard hit. You come to a place like here at Rockingham, the speeds are extremely high, 140, 150 miles an hour. So getting down in there into turn 1, we can see the marks actually going up to the middle of the racetrack there. So I hate that for Gavin, having a great run and really doing a fantastic job. So all these guys need to take note of this, right? This is a part of the race where these guys are going to really have to be thinking about, what this looks like and how important that small little bit of contact could really be.
And it looks like that car is going to be able to roll at least a little bit, but I think they're going to want to have Gavin hop out of that car and maybe take a ride down into the care center. No, he is going to drive that thing back down onto pit road. Definitely a lot of damage to the right front corner of that car.
This is the equivalent right here of a football player where their leg is broken and they get up and they're like trying to hobble off the field and they know that it's broken, but they don't want to admit that they're out of the game yet. That's a really tough spot to be in for Gavin. Obviously he was battling there for a top 2, and this is what the end result is. So I hate it for those guys, and I hate it for Gavin. He's such an immense talent and somebody that has a big future in the sport. So you hate to see him go wrong like this, especially this early in the race.
Let's take a look at what happened down in turns 1 and 2. Keep an eye on the 25 car right side of your screen, and you saw the car lurch right there and bang hard into that outside wall, and you see it leap off of that safer barrier. It looks dramatic, but I'll tell you what, that safer barrier, much better than hitting that bare concrete, isn't it?
So I'm one of the beauties of this racetrack right now is I'm standing up here and I have a great view of the safer barrier that's running around the outside of the front straightaway. Last year we did not have that on the front straightaway, and we had some cars run out of fuel on a late race restart. I actually hit the bare concrete wall. It's been a long time since I've hit bare concrete, and I was very thankful for those safer barriers, as I know Gavin is right now. You know, you never want to crash, but you always really appreciate the safety advancements that we've made in our sport.
And there is the impact zone right there, right where it says The Rock. And I bet you he feels like he hit a rock right there down there, but could be a lot worse without that safer barrier in place. And boy, tough way to end the day. Gavin wanted just 6 cars at the time that was still on the lead lap. There you see he has climbed out of that car. He's sitting on the pit wall back there. We'll see if Jacqueline Drake can slide in and maybe grab a quick word with him here momentarily. But tough way to end the day for that young man who was having a terrific first ARCA Menards Series East start today for that Nitro Motorsports team. Nick Tucker, team owner, drove to a top 5 finish. First time Nick had been in a car, an ARCA car, in over a decade. Do you think you could hop into one of these and pick it up right where you left off after a decade of not being in it?
I don't think so. If I'm being honest, Nick and I actually raced a lot together, you know, growing up, and you know, Nick's obviously a lot of fun to be around, and you know, what he's grown Nitro Motorsports into is really incredible. You know, I know that they've got their hands in kind of everything, but you know, they you know, purchased Venturini Motorsports, which has obviously been a staple. I raced with Bill and Billy for a number of years, and you know, to see the success that they're having still and growing this is been pretty special. So beautiful looking race car. I know that some friends of mine actually had a help in making that race car right there for Gavin Boschel. So B was really, you know, focusing on making sure that Gavin had a cool looking race car. And it's cool to see when something comes from the digital world into the real world. And I hated that it's not going to finish the race like it should have.
Yeah, that guy's pretty talented.
He's pretty good, yeah.
We're going to send it down trackside. Jacqueline Drake standing by with Gavin Boschel. Jacqueline?
Yeah, unfortunate end there for the 25. Standing right here with Gavin. What happened behind the wheel of that car?
I just blew a tire, blew right front tire. I thought we were really good. Just kind of pacing my stuff, trying to find some clean air, and I think we were rolling, catching the 28 there, and I think if we could have got clean air, could have had something for the 77, but, you know, I hate it just as much for me as my guys. You know, this Toyota Camry is on a roll, so move on to Kansas, regroup, and just go and win it there.
Unfortunate there for Gavin.
I guess that's the best way to do it, is you put it behind you immediately, start looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, I mean, in this sport, you know, you have to have a memory like a goldfish, right? You gotta be able to you know, adapt and go to the next one. And you know, Gavin's raced a lot in his career, and you know, I'm sure that between now and then he'll have a few races and something between here in Kansas. But you know, one of the things that he said right there, I was just pacing my stuff, right? And that's really important, because as all out as it looks from up here, or you know, at home on the Flow broadcast, you know, it may seem that way to us, but those guys feel like that they're saving tires, and so it's cool insight into what they've got going on. And you know, you're never really sure how much you're saving. You always feel like you're saving a lot more than what everybody else thinks you're saving. So you know, I'd be curious if he felt like his balance was on the tight side and he ran that right front off of it, or if it just come down to that little bit of contact. And look, you know, when you've got this many cars on the racetrack, and you've got the weekend events, and you know, you hope that you never find that little bit of a debris, whether it be a rock or maybe a bolt or something like that. But you know, he had to make that 4-wide pass on the bottom. You're never really sure what you might run through also. So there's a lot of scenarios that can play into that, and unfortunately for him, it doesn't really matter if, you know, he knows that the day's over and he's got to go on to Kansas.
There was a good look at the crowd here at Rockingham Speedway. Crowd continuing to file in. Here's a good question. Do you know your ARCA history? Now, you were right before this. You
Yes.
were 2008. This track hosted races in 2009 and 2010. There was a championship races back then. Do you remember who the champions were in those years?
I do not.
Yeah.
I'm
One
terrible.
of them shares a name with you.
Justin.
Justin.
Justin Lofton.
You got
Right.
a good guess. You got a good guess.
Yeah.
We're going to get the answer here. We'll probably get the answer after you got to head back
Yeah,
downstairs.
probably so.
But I think you nailed the first half of that
Yeah.
question. We'll have to think about
Trying
that
to think,
second one, huh? 2010, yeah.
You know, it doesn't seem like that long ago until you think back to that long
I
ago.
know,
and
hard
it's
to believe,
really-
isn't
Oh,
it?
Justin Marks.
There you
Justin
go.
Marks. Yeah, that's
There
right.
you
Let's see. Okay, so that he was 2009.
What was that?
He was 2009 then.
Justin Lofton was
Oh, Justin
2009.
Lofton. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think Justin Marks was 2010. So we'll have to start noodling on that one.
We'll have to go with it. So.
Yeah, we'll have to start noodling. Lights off on the pace truck. And for the first time today, we're going to see a restart here. We've got teammates up on the front row. McKee will go to the inside, Carson Brown to the outside, Connor Hall alongside Cleetus McFarland there in row 2. And the final cars on the lead lap will be Isaac Kitzmiller, and the free pass recipient, Wesley Slimp. In the other Nitro Motorsports car, they'll be back there in row 3. A couple of cars just one lap down, Jackson McLaren and Corey Roper back there in row 4. So we will come to the restart line, not a restart zone, a restart line right here, and get the green flag back in the air. We're racing to lap 63, so another dozen laps or so, and we will have our 5-minute break. And on the jump, it looks like Tristan McGee going to pick up where he left off, and let's see if Connor Hall can kind of tag onto the back of that two-way battle for the lead there off of turn 2.
It's really important to try to keep your track position here. Don't lose track position, but also at the same time, if you can use that odd lane to your advantage, you want to do it. But we see the 24 here, Connor Hall, trying to make a play for second place. But Carson has done a great job of just trying to manage, right? He knows that 77 is a little bit better than he is right now, but he also knows that there's a caution coming up here in just a little bit. He can make some adjustments on that 28 car and kind of get to where they need to be at. So, I think that's, again, going back to, do you want to make a change if you're the 77, right? You've got the dominant car. We don't know how much he's saving behind the wheel. All these other guys behind him, we got a caution again already.
Got some debris down in turn 1 right there. Looks like that may be a hood flap or something that has come off of one of these race cars. So that'll put us back under the caution for the second time here. I want to jump back to Gavin Bichelle. Great job by Jacqueline Drake, getting a quick word with him. And you can kind of see, even though he has, I think, the right frame of mind, already looking forward to Kansas, it is disappointing, particularly when you're that young. You were that young driving these race cars, and you got a call to come and race for a pretty big race team very early in your career. And when you have those opportunities and they don't go the way you're looking for, you kind of always feel like every race is an audition, right? And when you have a bad day right out of the box, it's got to really kind of dig at the old heartstrings there, because you don't want to let down those guys who gave you that opportunity early in your career, right?
Yeah, and I think sometimes especially when you're as young as a guy like Gavin, I think the moments of just right now, how you handle it post-race, how you handle those moments, how you, how you're interacting with fans, how you're walking through the garage. Look, team owners, that's actually a roof hatch out of the semi car. That's a...
I don't know that I've seen that before.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen that.
Wow.
I don't know that we have many spares of those laying around to be able to replace that. So they're going to be running to the safety truck to try to get that piece back so they can get that installed back in that 70 car. That is not an ideal situation right there. But
so here's a cool story. We'll get back to what we were talking about here in a minute. My family used to own a NASCAR team back in the day. Bobby Allison was the driver. At the 1983 Southern 500, crew chief Gary Nelson did that to the race car, cut a hole in the roof.
Really?
To get air conditioning blowing in on the driver. It was a super hot day. That, not intentional right there.
He was pretty good in his day of finding little tricks that maybe were gray areas in the rule book.
That was a $500 fine back then.
Yeah, I can imagine. And that $500 back then would have been
a lot
of
money back
been
in
a big deal.
1983. I understand we got a replay of this. See if we can see what happened. The car going, there it is. Yep. Caught a little breeze and blew right off the race car there, landed. We used to in the NASCAR world, you have the convertible series. I don't know if that's quite what we were thinking. I don't think so.
It's got to be interesting as a driver because number one, sunlight comes through, right? But number two, there's probably a cabin pressure change and got to be a little bit of a weird feeling whenever the roof blows off like that. So I know those guys will be down there trying to figure out how to get that thing replaced, but not an easy part to replace either. So
I was at an ASA race up at Michigan International Speedway, late model cars up at the big 2-mile Michigan Speedway. Gary St. Amant spun out in qualifying and the whole body blew off the car.
Yeah. Those cars were not meant to do that. I know we tried for a little while, but cool to watch, but not what we meant. But we talked earlier about Max Reeves being 3 laps down, not getting all those cautions. These are the cautions that he needs. The problem is there's multiple people 1 lap down and 2 laps down in between them. So he's hoping that we keep getting these cautions, but the way that it looks here, we're gonna get closer to that midway break. After that, it's going to be really hard because I think that, once we hit that midway break, even if you were able to get back on the lead lap to get your way through the field, would be really, really difficult.
One car that is a couple of laps down right there, the number 0, the Heatwave Visuals Ford for George Siciliano, Squirrel McNutt to the fans of the Cleetus McFarland YouTube channel. He's having a pretty solid effort so far here today in the top 10. Finished 13th in his debut at Hickory. And, when you're coming into this, with no experience whatsoever. Every lap, I mean, you are just building so much information in such a big database.
It was an emotional 13th place finish, too, for
Very.
him and Hickory. You know, you don't realize, and I think, too, like as somebody that's been doing this for a long time, you kind of forget what it meant to you when you started, right? And I think that 2026 for me has kind of been a lot of fun because I've really just wanted to enjoy it, right? And we're having success. That's not why we're having success, but we want to enjoy it. But George has done a great job of you know, trying to learn, and him and Cleetus both, right? They both have come into this with a very different outlook, very different knowledge of the sport than maybe some of the others, but they're both putting a lot of effort in, and they're both seeing results in it, right? I mean, obviously, you know, 2 laps down right here, but you know, every lap he's on the racetrack, he's making huge advancements, and you know, if we get a couple more cautions, there's only one car, 1 lap down, so maybe get himself back on the lead lap if we get another couple of cautions, and you know, that would obviously be a lot of fun for him, and it'd be a huge day if he could be able to get up there and get himself into a position where he could, you know, get himself a solid finish on the lead lap. That'd be a lot of fun.
It's a good look at that number 0 with the old Greg Biffle font on there, and they both of those cars, Cleetus and George, have Be Like Biff on the lower quarter panel. So
he's right behind Cleetus right here.
Right
so
behind him.
Do you drive up there and give him a little nudge and say, "Hey, brother, I'm up here"?
That's what Cleetus would do,
yeah,
right?
that's what Cleetus would do.
He did it to the pace car not all that long ago. So lights again off on the pace truck. We'll see if we can't get to that lap 63 mark to our halfway break. Let's see what Carson Brown has here on this restart. This is going to be a real good chance to see him for a very short run, see if he can get up there and hang with the 77. There's another great look at the crowd, everybody rising to their feet as we come back to the restart stripe here as we come to complete lap number 59. So just about 4 or 5 laps until we get to that midway point, and on the break, there goes Tristan McKee and Isaac Kitzmiller trying to give Carson Brown a little shove down there into turn 1.
Yeah, I was really, really excited to watch that start. I thought that Carson did a great job of launching, but that the second to third gear shift, something happened. I don't know if he spun the tires or if he got it in between again, but definitely, you know, moved him back a little bit, but he's able to roll the outside really, really well on these restarts. Probably better than most everybody else has been able to, but Connor Hall's able to get to his inside, and we talk about that right side air. You know, Connor wants to get to the caution. Again, I said don't be the caution, and he's trying to get to the caution. So you're obviously doing everything you can to be in the best position, but you know, these are really tough, knowing that you only got a few laps to get to that next caution.
Cleetus looking pretty racy in the 30 car. He's to the inside there of Isaac Kitzmiller. These cars all up on the lead lap, and move Cleetus McFarland in the number 30 into the top 5. I think that might be the first time we've seen him race up into the top 5 here today. So Garrett Mitchell, our pal Cleetus, looking pretty racy as we get towards the midway break here.
You can see every lap how much better he's getting, right? I mean, you just look at him now. He's on pace with the leaders. We saw earlier when the long green flag stretches come out, he was only 4 seconds behind the leaders and was trying to navigate all of that lap traffic. So, you know, Cleetus is obviously doing a great job of putting himself in the driver's seat, making sure that he's, you know, working really hard to be better and better. The experience yesterday, I think, was invaluable for him, right? And he's able to grow in this, and it's cool to see him have success, right? You know, obviously he's dealt with an interesting social media, you know, range of emotions from everybody on fans. But when you can come out here today and you can prove why you're on the racetrack, we've got another caution again.
And I believe this will be
the
for our
halfway break. Yes.
Yep. But in any case, he did have a really good start there and did pick up that position. And I think if he's able to kind of master that, he should be good maybe later on in the day too, because I think we're going to see a few more restarts maybe in that O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race later today.
There's a chance of it, yeah, especially as hot as it's getting. So hopefully he'll have a lot of success here this afternoon and have a lot of fun. But that's the most important piece of all this, having fun with it. And you know, he brings a huge contingent of fans to our sport. So it's cool to see him have some success, and it's cool to see that guy right there have some success. You know, Tristan McKee obviously dominating this race this afternoon, this morning. It is afternoon now.
Just barely.
Just barely afternoon. So
I always like to say it's like he's in the drive-thru at Burger King. He's having it his way, you know, absolutely having it his way.
We'll go with Arby's because that's one of our partners at Junior Motorsports. So
right.
he's got the meats today, that's for sure.
It's a good way to work it in right there, young man. Hey, before I let you go, because I know you got to get ready to go do your day job here. You've done a fantastic job up here. Please come back anytime. I do want to ask you, what is the actual definition of chicken foot there that Cleetus said he had?
Yeah, so he told Dale Jr. he got chicken foot when Dale drove the Dale truck at Talladega. So I think that that's basically just your mind is telling you that your foot should go down, but your natural instinct is for your foot to come back off the gas. So that's chicken foot.
All right.
I think it's kind of like playing chicken, but with the gas pedal. So he's obviously not got chicken foot here in the ARCA Menards series, but cool to be a part of this. Thanks for letting me come up and hang out with you. Listen, this view up here and just being involved in this series still is super important to me, and I love watching these race cars go around the racetrack. So anytime I can be a part of it, I'm always in. And what you guys are doing on the broadcast, I mean, just it doesn't matter east, west, or national. What's happening right now with the ARCA Menards series is really special. So thank you for letting me be a part of it. Hopefully the rest of this race is even more exciting than the start has been.
I don't know. It's been pretty good first half. We'll see what we maybe we'll do what we did last week. We'll really spice it up there towards the end. But Justin, thank you so much for coming up. Best of luck to you when you go race for that checkered flag in the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts race here coming up this afternoon.
We're going to try. We're going to have some fun and hopefully make everybody proud.
3 in a row.
3 in a row. That'd be awesome. I don't know. I'm not going to be greedy. I'm just going to go have a good solid day.
All right, man. Best of luck to you.
Thank
you so much for coming up. Justin Allgaier, our special guest here for today's ARCA East Rockingham 125. And we'll wish him bon voyage on his road to victory later on today. 3 wins in the last 4 NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series races for that young man. Field circulating under the caution flag for the 4th time here today. Tristan McKee has led all 66 laps. Carson Brown, his Pinnacle Racing Group teammate, in second. We saw Connor Hall make a run at it there to try to take over that runner-up position. Couldn't make it happen, so I believe we will see some pretty big adjustments on both the 28 and the 24 car under this 5-minute break. Cleetus McFarland, Isaac Kitzmiller, Jackson McLaren back on the lead lap in the 95 car. He picked up the free pass on one of these mid-race caution flags. And Wesley Slimp in the 70 car, still on the lead lap, despite the fact he lost the roof hatch there on that number 70. And Corey Roper rejoining the tail end of the lead lap under this current caution flag. So we'll start the 5-minute clock when the final car gets stopped down on pit road. Teams will have the opportunity to change tires, to add fuel, make any adjustments that they need. And then we will line them back up in the order they came down onto pit road. And we'll get set to go for the second half of today's ARCA Rockingham 125. Welcome back to Rockingham Speedway, everybody. There's a good look at Cleetus McFarland with a really good 4th place effort going here as we are under the red flag for our midway break. Next event for the ARCA Menards West coming up next Saturday night. 8:45 Eastern time, 5:45 out on the West Coast. Tucson Raceway Park coming up. We had a fantastic 3-wide battle for the win out at Tucson last year. Look forward to another great race at Tucson Speedway coming up here next Saturday night, April 11th. Again, 8:45 Eastern, 5:45 out on the West Coast. More information, go to flowracing.com and arcaracing.com for complete event information. We're going to send it back to the backstretch pit road. Jacqueline Drake keeping an eye on the top 3 cars under this break. Jacqueline, what you got for us?
Halfway break almost over here, and you're looking at right now 77 of Kristen McKee, the race leader so far. I spoke to his crew chief, Kevin Reed Jr., and he said he feels very good about the balance on his car, only calling for an air pressure adjustment. And his teammate, Carson Brown, who's been strong in that PRG, number 28, he said, I'm a little bit loose. They wanted to tighten up that car, but ultimately he's loving his first visit ever here to the Rock and feeling good about his chances to take the win today. And then rounding out the top 3, the number 24 of Connor Hall, 4 tires for him, felt a little bit loose and really wants to be able to get that clean air, but he hasn't been able to do so, stuck behind those PRG cars. He said they want to get a little bit more throttle off of exit. They're going to work on a few adjustments for that, but ultimately strong top 3.
Connor Hall been very impressive in that Joe Ferre-owned number 24 Sigma Performance Services Chevrolet. Looked like he was gonna try to battle Carson Brown there for second a couple of times, particularly on restarts. And boy, I think if they made the right adjustments on that car, Connor Hall certainly could be in the mix, if not for just a runner-up finish, but maybe even to get up there and battle Tristan McKee for the victory. So we talked about our trivia question a little bit ago, back in 2009 and 2010. The Rockingham Speedway, the Rock, hosted the ARCA Menards Series Championship race in both of those seasons. I think we figured out who the 2009 champion was. Of course, Justin Allgaier shared a first name with Justin Lofton. How many of you remember the 2010 ARCA Menards Series national champion? I know my friend Chris Knight down in the infield who celebrated a birthday the other day. Happy birthday to Knighter. I know he remembers the 2010 ARCA Menards Series champion. How about it for Patrick Sheltra? Yeah, Justin Lofton and Patrick Sheltra, the champions there in 2009 and 2010. I'll tell you, we had a lot of really good races back in that area. I was at Toledo Speedway when Justin Allgaier picked up his 2008 championship. What a rowdy crowd we had at the Speedway that day. And you talk about a great crowd. And look at that. I think they're looking for those folks in the grandstands with those Justin Allgaier shirts. Justin saw that guy earlier today and said, yeah, it's my shirt right there. But what a great crowd on hand here early in the day at Rockingham Speedway. Big thumbs up to everybody at Track Enterprises, the promoters of this event, and of course IHRA, the new track owners here at Rockingham Speedway. Everybody doing a great job to get this place packed with race fans for the second consecutive year. And look forward to coming back here for many years to come as the field now rolling off of the front straightaway here, completing lap number 67 that time around. Tristan McKee scored as the leader. Carson Brown in second, Connor Hall, Cleetus McFarland, and Isaac Kitzmiller rounding out the top five. Rest of the lead lap, Wesley Slimp in the number 70, Jackson McLaren in the 95. Great run for that Man Motorsports team. And Corey Roper making his first Major League stock car start in a couple of seasons, driving for Bruce Cook here today. Corey sitting back in the 8th position. George Siciliano, Squirrel McNutt, sitting back there in the 9th position. And how about this, folks? Max Reeves in the number 18 car, despite being 3 laps down, has worked his way back up into the top 10. So despite having a flat tire early in the race, might not be the disastrous day that we might have thought it was going to be when he had to make that unscheduled pit stop. So Max Reeves in the number 18 working his way back up into the top 10. Field going to double up behind the pace truck. Lights are off. We will go back green flag racing next time around as we come to complete lap 69. Still a long way to go. There is a look at Wesley Slimp in the number 70. He's right there on the right side of the screen. Saw the patchwork done on the roof of that number 70 car, so they did get the roof hatch back in place, a little white tape. There's a good look at the repair work done on the number 70 automobile. Great run for Wesley Slimp in that number 70, one of the 2 Nitro Motorsports entries here today. Of course, Gavin Bichelle in the other car had the issues with the right front tire. Gavin going to finish back in the 20th position after that accident, put us under the first caution flag of the day back at lap 45. So the pace truck will be back down into the infield. Let's see what happens on this restart. Can Carson Brown keep Tristan McKee in sight as we get ready to go back green flag racing? McKee to the restart line, green flag back in the air. Let's see what happens as we make our way off into turn 1. Can Connor Hall get to the inside and try to take second away from Carson Brown? Brown going to slide back down in line. He's going to fill that gap. Now put some pressure on his teammate. Battle on for the lead now into 3 and 4. Top 5 cars breaking away. And there is the battle for the lead. The Pinnacle Racing Group teammates. Tristan McKee in the 77. Carson Brown in the 28. Boy, that McKee automobile really turning through these corners very well. One of the few cars, even in the early going, able to plant those left side tires right down on that white line. That 77 car handling extremely well. Kevin Reed Jr. and that team doing a nice job getting that set up just right for 15-year-old Tristan McKee. And look at that gap, still already a half a second advantage over Carson Brown in second. There's the battle for third right there. Connor Hall in the 24 facing some heat from Isaac Kitzmiller in the 79. Isaac picking up a couple of positions on this restart. He's moved up to fourth. The reigning ARCA Menards East champion. He's going to look to the inside of Connor Hall down the backstretch. So Isaac Kitzmiller going to take third. Great restart for Kitzmiller, the 2025 ARCA East champion. Trying to match, if not better, a career best finish. Finished third last Saturday night up at Hickory Motor Speedway. Look at this battle. Here comes Cleetus McFarland in the 30. And boy, folks, that 24 car, Connor Hall, wicked loose that time through turns 1 and 2. Really nice save for Connor Hall. He's going to lose that track position, not a pass 4 position, but in any case, Max Reeves of that 18 wanting to show everybody just how strong that 18 car is. Let's take a look at this replay. I think the 24 car may have been loose up off the corner. That's going to allow Kitzmiller to look to the inside. And once Connor Hall got down into the corner, right here, that 24 car going to get really tail happy and move up the racetrack. Very loose for Connor Hall in the 24 car. So 75 laps in the books, 50 laps to go here in the Rockingham 125. And right now it has been all Tristan McKee pulling away. Now 9/10 of a second over his teammate Carson Brown as he works his way around. There's Austin Vaughn in one of the 2 Michael Maples Motorsports entries here today. Austin having a pretty solid day, back in the 12th position. Our reigning Bounty Rookie of the Year. Again, not a battle for position on the racetrack. Here is Max Reeves in the number 18, chasing down Cleetus McFarland. Cleetus up in the 4th position. Really solid run for Cleetus here as he gains valuable experience. He'll be in that NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race coming up later on this afternoon. You can watch that one live on the CW. If you can't join us here at the racetrack, beautiful day for racing here in the Sand Hills of North Carolina. I'll tell you what, Doug Howe, Frank Kimmel, and that team, the CR7 Motorsports team, obviously have made some really good adjustments for Isaac Kitzmiller in that 79 car. Isaac right now on the charge, starting to reel in Carson Brown and maybe give us a battle here for the 2nd position. Carson in the 28 car, not quite able to keep that car right down on the bottom side of the racetrack. He's a couple of feet up off the the white line through most of the corner. Whereas I think Isaac Kitzmiller's car turning a little bit better here in the early going of this run. So while this battle for second continuing to brew between Carson Brown and Isaac Kitzmiller, still just 8 cars on the lead lap. We've seen a couple of really good race cars here in the early going have some issues. Of course, Max Reeves, as we do have a caution on the racetrack. Caution on the racetrack for the, I believe, 4th time this afternoon. We've got a car that has come to a stop down in turns 1 and 2. There he is, Squirrel McNutt, George Siciliano in the number 0 car, getting sideways down into turn 1. Doesn't look like he's made any contact with anything. So LS George going to get her pointed back in the right direction, and he will tag on to the tail end of the field. George still sitting in the 9th position. He is the first car not on the lead lap, and since he is the cause for the caution, we will not have a free pass given under this 5th caution flag of the day. Great look at that Heatwave Visuals Ford. Sharp looking race car for George Siciliano, affectionately known as Squirrel McNutt to the millions of fans of the Cleetus McFarland YouTube channel. Last week at Hickory, we saw the top 3 drivers start throwing haymakers with about 20 laps to go. Here's a guy that could be in a real solid position to win here today if that same scenario kind of plays out here at Rockingham Speedway today. Of course, speed's a lot faster, almost double what we had last Saturday night at Hickory Motor Speedway. But, if they get racy up in front of them, our friend Cleetus McFarland might be sitting in the catbird seat right here. He has had a very solid day today, sitting back in the 4th position. Race fans, racing season across the country is here, and Flow Racing, your home for some of the biggest grassroots racing events throughout the course of the month of April and May. We talked about ARCA Menards West coming up on Saturday night, April 11th. We've got the ZMAX Cars Tour in action up at the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, another Track Enterprises promoted event. Dale Earnhardt Jr. expected to be in the field, so if you can't join us live here on Flow Racing and you want to go to the racetrack, call and get your tickets now. They expect a virtual sellout crowd for that one. The NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour in action April 12th up at the big 5/8 Thompson Speedway. Opening night at the Madhouse coming up on April 18th. We've got Interstate Batteries High Limit Racing from Texas Motor Speedway coming up April 30th. And this one, folks, this is a big one. ARCA Night in America, ARCA Menards East and West, both in action. East at Nashville, West out at Shasta Speedway. We'll have both of those races live back-to-back right here on Flow Racing and simulcast on the NASCAR channel. That's going to be a huge night of short track stock car racing, and you can catch all of the action for all of those live here, right here on Flow Racing. Good look at some of the fans in the stands here and some of the food trucks in the stands here at Rockingham Speedway. It's going to be about 80 degrees here this afternoon. These fans, hopefully they brought their sunscreen, folks, because there are not a lot of clouds off in the distance that I think are going to give them a lot of break from the rays of the sun here today. Here is a look at upcoming ARCA Menards Series platform races live here on Flow. Of course, we talked about Tucson Speedway coming up April 11th. The big doubleheader, Nashville and Shasta, back-to-back on May 2nd. A return to Colorado National Speedway coming up on May 23rd. And one of my favorite racetracks in the country, Tri-City Raceway, unique triangle-shaped racetrack. The Red Mountain Event Center coming up on June the 6th. All of those races live right here on Flow Racing. For more information for any of those races, visit flowracing.com or arcaracing.com, the official website of the ARCA Menards Series. Boy, what an absolutely fantastic crowd to see the Rockingham 125. Everybody also joining us today for the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. The North Carolina Education Lottery 250 coming up. Great to have Justin Allgaier with us up here for the first half of this one. Justin going for his 3rd consecutive O'Reilly Auto Parts Series victory here today. Picked up wins at a couple of the most historic and legendary tracks in NASCAR racing the last couple of weeks. Darlington Raceway, just a couple of hours south of here. Martinsville Speedway, a couple of hours north. Boy, what a place to come for the hat trick. Another one of the most legendary and historic racetracks in all of NASCAR. So great to be back racing here at Rockingham Speedway. There's a couple of Justin Allgaier fans in the stands right there. Also good to see a Jesse Love t-shirt in the stands. Jesse, of course, a former ARCA Menards West champion and an ARCA Menards Series national champion. He'll be going for the victory later on this afternoon. Pace truck about to hit pit road. Lights are off. We'll go back racing with 40 laps, make it 39 laps to go here in the Rockingham 125. Tristan McKee back to the inside lane. Carson Brown to his right elbow. We'll see what Carson can do here on this restart. We'll see if Isaac Kitzmiller may be able to get in there and battle for that second position. Carson Brown not getting a great restart. Here comes Kitzmiller to his inside as we race off into turns 1 and 2. Brown a little squirrely to the top side. Kitzmiller going to try to squeeze him. Brown able to recover down the backstretch. We'll see if he can power past in turns 3 and 4 to retake that second position. Kitzmiller not going to give it up without a fight. Down into turn 1, the 79 car to the inside. Carson Brown to the outside. Meanwhile, Tristan McKee driving off into the distance, already 0.4 of a second. The gap between this battle for second, third, and fourth. Carson Brown going to retake second, but that car tail happy there through turns 3 and 4. Where they say loose is fast, and I'll tell you, that 28 car very loose right there through turns 3 and 4. Kitzmiller right there, inches off the back bumper down the backstretch and off into turn 3. Fantastic battle for second, third, and fourth. There is Cleetus McFarland, Garrett Mitchell in the number 30. Doing everything he needs to do here to put himself in a good position. Hoping these two in front of him get a little racy. Open the door for him. McKee powering away. There he is, driving off into the distance. 1.1 seconds the gap now already. Just 5 laps into this run. McKee really stretched it out. Carson Brown looks like he is going to settle back into the second position. Kitzmiller holding on to third, looking to match that career best finish from last Saturday night. Kitzmiller watched those drivers beating and banging all around him, kept his nose clean, and came home with his first ever podium finish. There is Tristan McKee in the 77. He'll work his way to the outside of Michael Maples in the number 99. There's the 34 car. TJ Harris in his ARCA Menards East debut. TJ back in the 16th position. Again, that 24 car looking like it's on the ragged edge as he makes his way through turns 3 and 4. Carson, as we talked about earlier, the 39th driver in the modern era of the ARCA Menards series post 1979 to win in his very first ARCA Menards start. Pulling it off at Phoenix Raceway back in March. Carson was competing in the Cars Tour race at Wake County Speedway last Saturday night, so was not able to join the field for the season opener. Derek Nealand, who is Kyle Busch's full-time spotter and Austin Hill's spotter in the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. Derek wheeled that car to a 4th place finish last Saturday night. So that 2018, Stephen Dawson and the crew looking for its second consecutive top 5 finish to start the season. We were going to try to stack them 3 wide right there through turns 3 and 4 for just a moment. I'll tell you, Squirrel was looking for some racing room to the bottom side of the racetrack right there, trying to get out of the way of that battle for position. Cleetus McFarland turning some impressive lap times in that number 30 car the last couple of laps. He's going to give up a little ground right there. He had to get up off the gas down in turn 1 as they were battling through some of that traffic. That's going to open the door there for Max Reeves in the 18. But Cleetus turning some really nice laps in that 30 car to close in on the finish here. Working lap number 98, so still 28 laps yet to go. There's Craig Pellegrini in the number 10 car. Craig making the jump from open wheel racing, dirt sprint cars mainly, to stock car racing, teaming up with Andy Hillenberg's Fast Track high performance racing team for a run at the Bounty Rookie of the Year award. You know, we've seen this happen a couple of different times today. Tristan McKee, working his way through traffic, has been very deliberate, hasn't had to force the issue with anybody. He's built up a 1 second advantage, a 2 second advantage a couple of different times. He'll catch the back of the field and kind of roll out of the throttle and patiently work his way through traffic. He's doing just that right now. Meanwhile, Carson Brown kind of sending it with reckless abandon. He's able to close that gap. He took 0.4 of a second off the advantage that time around as McKee working through some of that lap traffic. But now that McKee has broken through that pack, we will see if he is able to put the pedal back to the mat and stretch that advantage out one more time. Let's see what the advantage is here. 0.7 of a second last time around. 0.8 of a second that time around. So again, just about any time McKee clears any lap traffic, he's able to rebuild that advantage. And that's what it looks like on the racetrack. 0.8 of a second on the stopwatch equates maybe about 30 car lengths on the racetrack. So now inside the final 25 laps, make it 23 to go that time around. 102 laps in the books as McKee continuing now, building it back up to a full 1 second advantage over his Pinnacle Racing Group teammate. You know, we've seen a lot of these race cars, particularly in that zone of the racetrack, really fighting the handle. A lot of really tail-happy race cars off of turns 3 and 4. That 77 car has been on rails all race long. Great job by Kevin Reed Jr. and that entire team, giving Tristan McKee exactly what he looks for handling-wise with that car. He's got now 22, make it 21 laps to go. He's able to hold on. He'll pull off his second straight ARCA Menards East Series victory. Here comes Squirrel McNutt right there on the back bumper of Craig Pellegrini. Got to spend some time with Craig at Thunderfest in downtown Rockingham a couple of nights back. Great to see the city of Rockingham turn out to support not only the ARCA Menards East, but both the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series and the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. Had about a dozen drivers downtown signing autographs for thousands of race fans just after 5 o'clock on Thursday night. Great way to kick off the weekend. There's Destiny Spurlock in the number 66 car. Tristan McKee working to her inside, and here comes Carson Brown. Carson really starting to turn up the heat here late in the race. Now just a 1/4 of a second the gap between first and second. Obviously saw Tristan kind of out of the gas there a little bit as he worked his way past Destiny Spurlock in that 66 car. He's got some more lap traffic directly in front of him. Can Carson Brown continue to put some heat on for the race lead? Going to work to the outside of TJ Harris, and here comes Carson Brown for the lead. Brown to the inside. Can't make it stick. Oh my goodness, Brown drifting 4-wheel sideways there into turn 3. Great save by Carson Brown, who tried to capitalize with that lap traffic. Great save right there by Carson Brown. That was his shot. He doesn't know if he's got another run at it. Let's take a look at what happened there. Look at that save, folks. Wow, 4-wheel drifting at 140 miles an hour. That right there, my pick for today's Reese's Sweet Move of the race. What a tremendous, tremendous save by Carson Brown as he battled for the lead with Tristan McKee. Don't forget, visit arcaracing.com Monday, 3 o'clock Eastern time to see who we crown today's Reese's Sweet Move of the race. And just as I say that, here he comes. Another challenge down into turn 3. Carson Brown, that car looking a lot better than it has throughout the rest of the day. 15 laps to go, and Brown on the charge. And we're going to have a caution flag, folks. Caution coming out for Michael Maples, who has come to a stop. over in turn 3. And it looks like Michael might have spun down the backstretch and come up the racetrack there coming into turn 3. Well, that's going to give us a chance to catch our breath and get set for what could be a phenomenal battle for the victory here. And indeed, looks like Michael has made some contact with the wall. There's some fluid running out from the radiator there going into turn 3. Michael, just bring her to a stop there, pal. We don't need to drag fluid around the racetrack. Tough break for Michael Maples. Of course, he has transitioned into team ownership here the last couple of seasons. He's brought on Austin Vaughn, the reigning Rookie of the Year. Austin having a pretty good day back in the 15th position. Tell you what, while we've got the AMR safety crew on the racetrack, we're going to step away for a quick break. I'm going to catch my breath, and we'll get set to run to the checkered here on the Rockingham 125. Winding down to the conclusion here of the Rockingham 125. Tristan McKee leading his teammate Carson Brown. Carson looking a little racy here as we get to the finish. Second consecutive week, Connor Hall has been a factor at the front of the field. Second consecutive week, he's going to watch the finish from the infield. Jacqueline Drake is standing by with him.
Yeah, guys, we're down here with the 24 of Connor Hall. He'd love to see a replay of just how that ironed out, but ultimately, though, getting taken out in the later stages of this race. And from your standpoint, though, what happened?
Just got behind the 8 ball. We overswung when we were in third, trying to figure out a way to try to take this Sigma Performance 24 to the front. And we had a ton of speed, and, this is a newer program. We're just trying to keep making leaps and bounds. And I think Crew Chief Blake, Bainbridge, and everybody at the shop's obviously making, the right calls, and we're getting better and better every week. And it's just the byproduct, I guess, of having cars that are 5 seconds off the pace. And I understand everybody needs to learn and go through this, approval process or whatever it so be. I know that's such a triggering topic right now, but, we got guys who are out there doing it right. And, there's some others that, if you're out there to learn and your car's not handling right and not making the speed that you need to be competitive, I think it's just important to kind of make way for the guys who are racing for position or trying to catch back up so they can have a shot at winning the race. And we pitted, made a really good adjustment on it. We got back to fourth and whatever position we were in, and the thing was driving really good. I just needed a yellow or something to stack the field back up, but just super thankful. I know it was a little long-winded, just really frustrating when, I only get so many limited chances at this, and, to get kind of be a bycatch per se is pretty difficult, but we'll put a new body on it and get her shine back up and head to the next one, I guess.
Unfortunate end there for Connor Hall, and you can see extensive damage on that 24 from contact on the track.
Great job by Jacqueline Drake to get back there and get a word with Connor Hall, and there is the damage. And I'm going to guess he got into the back of Michael Maples there, working their way down the backstretch, and that was the cause of Michael getting into the outside wall or inside wall. But boy, tough way to end the day there for Connor Hall, who is having a spectacular run up in third position prior to that incident. There you see the cars stopped on the front stretch here as we are now officially under the red flag with just 12 laps to go. We're going to step away for another quick break. When we come back, we'll have the engines refired and we'll race to the finish here at the Rock. Welcome back to Rockingham Speedway, still under the red flag after an incident on the backstretch between Connor Hall and Michael Maples. Left a little bit of fluid on the racetrack there in turn 3. Rather than burn some laps off here circulating behind the pace truck while the cleanup was underway, we decided to stop the cars here on the front stretch and allow the safety workers some room on the backside to get done what they need to get done. So we'll go back green flag racing here shortly. We'll see a terrific, I expect we will see a terrific battle between Tristan McKee and Carson Brown. Those two are really going at it prior to this caution. There's a couple of Cleetus McFarland fans. Of course, Cleetus is going to run the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race coming up. Look at that grandstand, folks. What a terrific crowd here at Rockingham Speedway today. picture perfect Chamber of Commerce weather. Going to be about 80 degrees, nice gentle breeze blowing across. And these folks are stoked to have NASCAR racing back here at Rockingham Speedway. Of course, the first time in 21 years last year for the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. And of course, it had been about, about a dozen years since the Craftsman Truck Series was in action here as the engine's roaring back to life here on the front stretch. And right before that caution flag came out, I thought we were going to see Carson Brown start to try to take it to Tristan McKee at the front of this field. We talked about it at the top of the race. Justin Allgaier mentioned this at the top of the show. You know, tire conservation so critical here. You need to get these tires to last, not only just to physically last the 65 laps, but you want to have the best tires on your race car as possible for that short run to the checkered flag. The question that we've got to ask here is, how do these two Pinnacle Racing Group teammates, how have they differed on their approach to tire management? Has Tristan kind of worn those the good off of those tires early in the run, or has Carson Brown kind of saved some of his tires for a shot later in the run? We're about to find out. We're going to have about 10 to go as we get set to go back racing. So let's take a look at the front of the field. Again, Tristan McKee, Carson Brown will line up on the front row. Isaac Kitzmiller will line up third. And we'll see, hopefully, the restart of his young stock car career here for Cleetus McFarland in that 30. He's going to come to the green outside row number 2. Wesley Slimp with a great run, despite losing the roof hatch of that race car. Wesley having a great run in 5th position. And how about that performance by Jackson McLaren in the 95 car? Boy, cannot say enough about Mark Noble and his brother David. What a great run for Jackson McLaren in that 95. There's a good look at the repairs on the roof. How often do you say that? Repairs to the roof of that number 70 car, that roof hatch blowing off there a little bit. Not a little bit, a lot. Just before, I should say, the midway break. A little bare bond, and that'll keep that thing in place, at least until we get to the checkered flag. But Wesley having a career day, 5th, with just about 10 to go here in the Rockingham 125. How about that? Justin Allgaier on the Welcome Back NASCAR sign just outside turn 4. So great to have the 2008 ARCA Menards national champion with us up here in the booth today. He's going to go for win number, 4 of the season? 4th victory perhaps in the last 5 starts, if he can pull it off here today. Of course, that race coming up 2 o'clock Eastern time, live on the CW. If you can't join us here at the racetrack, still have a little bit of time to get here. Few seats still available, not many, but be good to have you in the stands. If not, watch it live on the CW. Field doubling up behind the pace truck, hopefully for the final time. Tristan McKee to the inside, Carson Brown to the outside. Kitzmiller and McFarland there in row 2. Slimp and McLaren in row 3. Corey Roper, the final driver on the lead lap. He will restart back in the 7th position. Getting set to come back to green. We'll have 9 laps to go to settle it. A 9-mile sprint for Tristan McKee. Can Carson Brown, can he pick up where he left off right before that caution flag? I think we're going to see a very aggressive restart. Coming back to the restart line. Denise Engel with the green flag in hand. Back in the air. McKee with the jump. Can Carson Brown roll the top side and get that momentum build up down into turn 1? He's going to have to deal with Isaac Kitzmiller. Kitzmiller to the inside on this restart. Brown going to roll the top side off of turn 2. He's got some momentum down the backstretch. He'll retake 2nd into turns 3 and 4, but that's going to give Tristan McKee a little bit of breathing room as we come to the stripe. 8 to go this time around. Carson Brown using that middle lane through turns 1 and 2. He's got a couple of car lengths of breathing room with Isaac Kitzmiller in his rear view mirror. Now, Brown gonna have to see what he can do to reel in Tristan McKee. McKee opening up half a second in just 2 laps of green flag racing. McKee has been dominant here today as he looks for his 2nd consecutive ARCA Menards East victory to start the 2026 season. Carson Brown trying to match his performance to start the season out at Phoenix Raceway, where he went to victory lane in the ARCA Menards West combination event. 0.6 of a second, the gap up at the front of the field. McKee stretching out, adding 1/10 of a second per lap. Now 0.7 of a second with 5 to go. That's what half a second looks like on the racetrack, about 20 car lengths. There's Max Reeves looking to the inside of Corey Roper. This not a battle for position. Roper in 7th, Max Reeves in 8th. Reeves still 2 laps off the pace to the lead lap cars. Tristan McKee stretching it out. He had 0.8 of a second. Now Carson Brown reeling him back in 0.6 of a second the last time around. McKee stretching it out once again. Was 0.6, now back up to a full second. Got to be great to have a race car that handles that well, that you can take your time weaving through some of this slower lap traffic. Coming off of turn 4 around TJ Harris in the 34 car. Tristan McKee has 2 more laps to go. Driving the Pinnacle Racing Group number 77 car, team owners Mark and Jerry Webb. Crew chief Kevin Reed Jr. calling shots from the box on pit road. Looking at the white flag from Denise Engel, this time by. Final time around for Tristan McKee, cleanly off into turns 1 and 2. Looking to go back-to-back to start the 2026 ARCA Menards East season. He went to victory lane last Saturday night. In the first ever series race at Hickory Motor Speedway, he's gonna go back-to-back. Give it to Tristan McKee. He wins here at Rockingham. Carson Brown crossing the line in 2nd. Isaac Kitzmiller matching a career best finish in 3rd. Our pal Cleetus McFarland and Wesley Slimp rounding out the top 5. Boy, he had to wait to lap 185 last Saturday night at Hickory Motor Speedway before he was able to work his way into the lead. He jumped out to the lead from the Sioux Chief PowerPex pole here at Rockingham and was unchallenged, leading all 125 laps. Tristan McKee burning it down, celebrating his 2nd straight East Series victory. There was the MAN Motorsports team celebrating a terrific 6th place effort down there. Team owner Mark Noble in the group. Jackson McLaren coming home. An impressive 6th here today. Corey Roper coming home in 7th. Max Reeves recovering from that flat tire. Picked up a couple of laps on the field to finish back in 8th position, 2 laps off the pace. Squirrel McNutt coming home in 9th. And Craig Pellegrini, his 2nd consecutive top 10 finish in that number 10 car. Finished 9th at Hickory, 10th here at Rockingham. Mark Turner standing right next to the winning driver down in victory lane. Mark will give him the thumbs up to climb on out, and we'll send it down trackside to Jacqueline Drake to hear from our winner, Tristan McKee.
Well, we're down here trackside, and Tristan McKee, 242, flag to flag. The 77 of Tristan out of the car, race winner today at Rockingham 125. Gonna receive congratulations from his crew chief, Kevin Reed Jr. Wow, what a performance we had today. And you were the dominating car all day long, Tristan. I just have to know, how did you manage your equipment and your pace to ultimately bring home the win?
Yeah, I got sketchy a little bit there a few times with the lap cars. Some of those guys are, kind of all over the place, and the closing rates are really fast. So it was definitely tough to, keep my mental state and just kind of, fight through it all and get through all the lap cars. So it was definitely a lot of fun. This track's awesome. First time here. Totally a lot of fun. So thanks to Campers Inn for coming on board this week, and all the PRG guys for all their hard work. Had a bad fast car. We got to, I think, 1-2. Yeah, 1-2, which is really cool. So that's the second one for PRG this year. So that's really cool. Everyone at Spire, Jeff Dickerson, Bill Anthony, all those guys for allowing me to do this.
Congratulations, 2 for 2 for that 77 team. Amazing performance. And we're going to go ahead and get a word here with our 4th place finisher today, Cleetus McFarland. And this was just ultimately a great showing for Cleetus in that number 30.
First top 5.
Cleetus, I have to ask, first off, first top 5 in ARCA right here. What clicked for you today, and ultimately, what a showing for that team?
Honestly, I just went out there and turned left for Greg Biffle. Okay, that's what I was doing. I had more confidence today than I've ever had in a stock car. Even though I got the world against me, I got all these people here rooting for me. And I don't know, I was feeling good. The kinetic, Rhett Jones racing 30, just turning so good. I mean, I had the leaders in my sight the whole time. I was a little off pace, but like top 4, I can't believe it. I'm fired up and feeling good.
You say Greg Biffle, your connection, your friendship there. If he was here, what would he be saying to you right now, do you think?
Oh, I think he'd be happy. I didn't do anything stupid, and Biff didn't teach me any dumb stuff, so I didn't do any dumb stuff today. I tried to use everything he's ever taught me, and I learned a lot from Richard Childress Racing already. And Mark, he's doing a great job. The car ran good, but like, honestly, just the few weeks I've been with Richard Childress Racing, I've learned so much more than I ever could without him. So that applied today, and I'm fired up.
Cleetus McFarland finishing 4th today and going double duty. He's got the O'Reilly race later today. Good luck, Cleetus, and thanks for being here.
Thank you. I'm probably going to get whooped out there, but I had a great day in ARCA.
We love to hear it. Well, let's go ahead and get a word with our 2nd place finisher today of Carson Brown. Great showing by him. First time here at the Rock as well. Carson, congratulations on a podium finish. Another one right here in your ARCA start. What did you need, though, just to get one spot better over your teammate?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I'm just happy to be standing here, honestly. It was a very fun race. Just, unfortunately, we struggled there at first, and we had something wrong, just wrecking free at the start and firing off really bad, and just kind of struggled to get going there and felt like it was coming to us a little bit and almost wrecked both of us at one point, me and Tristan, but just tried to hang on there. And then when we stopped at the break, we were decent and made a few changes, fired off better and better, but just still kind of struggled. But big thank you to PRG, all the guys.
Yeah, even with that struggle, you couldn't tell. Great job by Carson Brown, and such a strong showing for him early here in the season with ARCA. Hi, Isaac. Good to see you. First off, congrats on that podium finish. How are you feeling about your overall performance today?
Yeah, that was a good day for CR7 Motorsports, All Construction, Carter Cat, and everybody else that put their hands on these cars. Super awesome to get the finish top 3. We started fired off super loose there, and wish we got it tightened up at halfway. Just can't thank all these guys enough. We almost had the 28 pass, but he just was a little bit better on long run stuff. But I just can't thank these guys enough. Like I said, it's pretty awesome racing at the Rock.
Strong day for Isaac Kitzmiller, rounding out our podium in the 3rd position.
Great job today by Jacqueline Down on pit road and getting all of those great interviews. How about Cleetus McFarland with a terrific performance? There is Tristan McKee celebrating down in Victory Lane. You know, had a great visit with Tristan last week at Hickory Motor Speedway. His young sister Bree down there as we were doing some headshots, and as Tristan was getting his picture taken, I asked Bree, I said, hey, who's your favorite race car driver? And she pointed at Tristan and said, not him. That is sibling love right there, folks. And Bree is down there just outside of Victory Lane. She absolutely adores her big brother. There's a Cleetus McFarland celebrating a top 5 with the media down here. Congratulations go out to him. Congratulations to Tristan McKee on a great race here today. Don't forget, next race coming up, the West Series, ARCA Menards West at Tucson Speedway coming up next Saturday, 8:45 Eastern Time. Don't forget, folks, Flow Racing, your home for all of the ARCA Menards Series East and West Racing and NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour Racing and select NASCAR local racing events throughout the country, all across these great United States of America throughout 2026. Well, folks, my name is Charlie Carl. Appreciate you joining us live here on Flow Racing. On behalf of Jacqueline Drake and my pal Justin Allgaier, thank you so much for watching. We'll talk to you next time from Tucson, next Saturday night, right here on Flow. Until then, so long, everybody.
May not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our fans for your support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.